I apologise that I missed the moment. I thought somebody else was going to speak, so very, very quickly. In the last couple of weeks, the United Arab Emirates have curbed state funding for its citizens seeking to enrol at UK universities over concerns they will be radicalised by Islamists. That is an extraordinary piece of information, but also indicates that we do have a real problem, and I perfectly commend the government for trying to find new ways of dealing with young people who are being radicalised. I understand that that is a real problem. I was slightly worried that in the same week we heard about a regional game being used by some councils for Prevent, which actually identified one of the signs of pre-terrorism or extremism as those who support cultural nationalism, which seems to me to be muddling up again the terms of what is an extremist, what isn't, and so on and so forth. So I don't know that it's entirely clear. I actually happen to share the reservations that the noble lady Baroness Brinton raised in terms of civil liberties, in terms of these particular youth diversion orders, because I am concerned always that whereas I think we, as I've previously said, lack moral courage in taking on radicalisation in public, there's always procedures and process and, in fact, legislation that's used as a substitute for that. In that context, I do commend the noble Lord Harris of Pentragar for trying at least to, as he's done many times, raise the issue of can't we just teach British values? Ironically, it's become quite controversial to say we should absolutely shout from the rooftops British values. You're not encouraged to do so. That itself can be seen as exclusionary, not inclusive enough, and so on. And he's explained in detail why he wants that. I'm not necessarily a fan of all of the things in that list or the whole notion of citizenship education, but I think it's the right approach at least. I do, however, note with some irony that part of what are British values in that list are the importance of freedom of thought and conscience and freedom of expression, of assembly and association. This is in a bill which actually could curtail many of those very things, in fact. And when we try to raise them, when those of us who've tried to raise them, we've kind of been dismissed as, you know, those things are not a threat, don't worry about it, we need to do this. I also think it's interesting that in that list we have regular elections. I agree, I wouldn't be cancelling them myself. And in relation to the rule of law, I think that jury trials are a key part of British values and democracy and ensuring that we have a democratic representation for ordinary people and that justice is done in the criminal justice system and so on. And we know that they are in jeopardy. So I want us to absolutely push British values more. I think that would be far more important and effective than youth diversion orders. If we're going to have youth diversion orders, let's have some British values in there. But if we're going to mention British values, let's actually stick to them ourselves rather than just having them as a list that we can nod through.